peaches. Beautiful, juicy peaches. Very nice. We picked them at the local orchard. Since we didn't have any this year, ours froze. The orchard south of us, they put up straw bales, piles of straw bales on the west side of their orchard, and they lit them on fire. We had a couple nights where it got down to 28 degrees. They lit those on fire and kept them burning all night to keep the cold air off the blossoms, to keep them from freezing. And their early crops didn't make it, but their later crops like these are called Contender. It's a very nice peach. It's a freestone peach. Very sweet, usually very large. A little bit smaller this year, but they're still very nice peaches. So when we picked them, they were still a little hard. We let them sit for 2 days to let them fully ripen. And now we're going to can our peaches. First thing we're going to do is we're going to scald our peaches so the skins slip off a lot easier. We're going to slice them up. Then we're going to make our syrup, and then we're going to jar them, and then we're going to put them in a hot water bath. So right now, scalding process, you want boiling water. You want a sink full of cold water. Once they're done scalding, you got to cool them off immediately. Otherwise, they'll be cooking on you, and you're going to get a mushy peach. Now, if you're putting your peaches in, like I said, you scald for 30 to 60 seconds. If they're not peeling off within 60 seconds, they're probably not ripe enough. So I just count to 30. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. 1030. So, we're done. Now I'm going to lift this out. Just let her sit here for a little bit. The water drain off and get her into our cold water. And you can see how quickly and easily, just pouring them in there, you can see all the skin's coming off already. That's what you want to see. Now if I find one that's not quite ripe, which is probably not going to happen in this batch, I'll show you what happens. But these are perfect. You just start slipping the skins off. It's called slipping the skins. That's what you want them to do. You want them to slip off. Just like that. You don't want to have to cut them with a knife, because you're going to lose a lot of good stuff if you peel them with a knife. And this is so quick as well. You know, sometimes you'll get a stubborn peach, but these are doing very well. They're perfect. Look at that. Just slip them off. When you're doing canning, you want to try to get freestone. Freestone means, and I'll show you in a second, the pit, the stone, the seed in the middle, will not cling to the meat of the peach. A cling peach, they are a bear to clean because, well, you can't. You will not clean all the meat off the peach pit. It wants to stick in there. And it's messy and it's wasteful. You're wasting some peach meat. Now, there's some really good peaches out there that are cling. So these are Contenders. These are Freestone. I believe Red Haven, it's an earlier one. They came out earlier this year. I believe they are a cling peach. But when you go to your orchard or go to your store or your farm market, ask them the variety of peaches they're selling. Ask them if they're cling or freestone. They will know. If they don't know, don't buy peaches from them, because they don't know what they're doing. They're just buying in bulk from somebody else and reselling. But if they know their peaches and they know their fruit, if you ask them if these are freestone or cling, they're going to know. That's the first thing I ask if I hear of a peach that I'm going to pick peaches. I'll usually ask her because I don't remember. It depends on the time of year you're going, but certain ones I know. But usually I'll say, the peaches. They'll say, oh, we got this variety and this variety on today, or this weekend, or this week. When I pull in, I say, which ones are freestone? And those are the ones I go to. So, but you see how easy these are cleaning. See, there's not one underripe peach in here, so I'm not going to be able to show you what I wanted to. They're just all doing very nicely. We're just going to cut them in half. That's the top. There's the bottom. You can see a little seam there. We're just going to follow that seam around and put your finger in it. That's freestone right there. You see how that just popped off? And the seed comes right out. That's a freestone peach. A cling peach would not do that. We had a little bit of bruising there. When you're picking peaches, you'll get bruising. They're heavy. If you drop one on the ground while you're picking it and you put it in your basket, you're going to have a bruise. Now, there's 3 kinds of syrup you can make. There's light, medium, and heavy syrup. It all depends on your tolerance for sugar and the amount of sugar you want in your diet. Most peaches you buy in the store, if you read the can, it says in heavy syrup. It's thick. It's syrupy. It looks like syrup. It's very sweet. So if you buy canned peaches, you'll notice it says in heavy syrup. Okay? There's medium syrup. We prefer, my dad's got a sweet tooth. He wants heavy syrup on his peaches. I like light syrup because I don't want all that sugar in our diet. And they do just fine. You get more of a natural peach flavor too. If you like that really sweet, syrupy peach flavor you get out of canned peaches from the store, then you want to make a heavy syrup to get that flavor and consistency. I like more the taste of a fresh peach, so I make the light sugar. It looks very watery. It's not nearly as much sugar. But then, if I open a quart or two, I'm going to make a cobbler, peach cobbler, or peach pie. Then I'll add a little bit more sugar, and I'll add some minute tapioca for thickener. So if I want more sweet, I sweeten it up a little bit more. You can always sweeten it up more when you open the jar. If I want to open a jar and just eat them, I don't want any more sugar. I'm going to eat them right out of the jar. But if I'm going to make a pie or something, I'll add a little bit more sugar. So you don't have to add it now. Just if you look in the bulk canning book, or if you Google it, you'll find recipes for light, medium, and heavy syrup for canning. What we're going to do, and there's a little bit of bruising out if you're noticing, but I don't care about that. Now, some people cut every bit of that bruising out. You know, if you're taking your peaches to the fair, if you're looking to get an award, presentations, a lot of it, you don't want any bruising or anything. There's different things I would do if I were going to take these to the fair. I'm not taking them to the fair, so I really don't care. I'm not going to waste cutting out any bruises. It doesn't hurt them at all. There's not going to be any spoilage because of the bruises. And really, once they're done, you won't even see any bruising because these are going to turn bright, bright yellow after they've been hot water bathed. Now, there's 2 ways to process canned peaches. There's the hot water bath method, which is the recommended method. There's the open kettle method, which is no longer recommended. I've been cooking since I was 12 years old. We did a lot of canning in open kettle. We never got sick, never had any spoilage. Open kettle is, we would put these peaches in syrup. We'd make the syrup. We slice our peaches. We put them in there and bring it to a boil. We've got our jars sterilized. We've got our lids in heated water. We put the boiling or cooked peaches and syrup in the hot sterilized jars. We seal the jars with the hot lid and we set them on the counter. They do not get a hot water bath. Again, you won't find that. It's hard to find how to do that because it's no longer the recommended method. So you won't find that in any newer canning books. You won't, unless you know what to look for, you won't find it online. So because people don't do it anymore. I've done it both ways. The advantage to open kettle, and we're kind of doing a hybridization of that. We're kind of doing both today. You can take these peaches and you can slice them and put them directly in the jars. Jar. Throw them in there. And then pour your hot syrup over top of the peaches. Close your jar and put it in a hot water bath. The problem with that is your peaches, when they heat up, they're going to shrink a little bit. They're going to shrink. Air's going to come out. Some juice is going to come out. And what happens, you had a full jar, okay? And they're rigid right now. So you got a full jar. What happens is they get soft. They shrink a little bit. They compact a little bit. Now, you've got a jar of peaches that looks like it's only 3/4 of the way full. They've all come to the top. You've got about that much juice in the bottom of your jar. Well, you didn't lose any peaches. They've gotten softer, they shrunk a little bit, and they compacted, and they float to the top. So now you got all that space. If you tip your jar a couple times and back, you'll see it's full again. Now, to prevent that settling, you can do what we're going to do today. Get your syrup going, dump your peach slices in there, heat them for a little bit, then put them in your jar, and you won't have that problem. I might not. You know what? Because it just takes up more time. But I'm going to show you right now what we normally do. So we've got all our peaches here. Look at all those beautiful peaches. There, that's a half bushel of peaches. We've skinned and halved our peaches. We took the pits out and we halved them. We're not going to slice them until we get one more batch done. We don't want them to turn brown on us. So what you want to do to keep them from turning brown, a couple tablespoons of lemon juice, some cold water, about a quart. You just pour that over top of them. The ascorbic acid keeps them from turning brown. Now you can buy powdered ascorbic acid in the canning section. Lemon juice does the same thing. So that's going to keep from turning brown until we get back to this batch to slice them up. So we're going to put another batch in. This is the bulk canning book. This is an older book. If you look right here, there's actually, I misspoke, there's actually 3 of them. You have extra light, light, medium, and heavy syrup. And all it is proportions of sugar to water. So your extra light, 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of sugar per quart of liquid. It's going to give you 4.5 cups of syrup. Okay, light is 2 cups of sugar per quart of liquid. Medium is 3 cups. Heavy is 4 3/4 cups per quart of liquid. So, and as you add more sugar, you're going to get a little bit more here. We're going to double this batch now because we got a lot of peaches to do. So we're going to use every bit of it. We're going to do the light syrup. So we're going to do 2 cups per quart of liquid. We get a whisk in here and we just start stirring that up. I used hot water, so it's already mixing easy. I mean, it's very sweet already. Like I said, if you do it this way, it's like eating more natural peaches. That's all we do. We slice them and we put them in. There's a little bruise on that one. I'll eat that. And then what we'll do is we put them in, we'll shake them down. And see, you'll get a lot more peaches in there that way in one jar. Like I said, we're going to get some shrinkage, but I don't care about that. And we're going to fill this to within 1/2 inch of the rim. So we went with simple syrup. We brought it to a boil. We've got our jars packed. We did 14 quarts right for now because that's what we got room for in our 2 pans here. So we got our handy dandy 16-ounce ladle and our canning funnel. Now what you want to do, take a small spatula or a spoon or something. I like to use this gauge, this canning gauge. That's your canning gauge. Remember I said 1/2 inch? Well, there's a 1/2 inch right there. So if you put this down in there, it's a 1/2 inch. You'll see it goes down right about there. So it's about halfway up the threads. But I like to use this also. You can see the air bubbles coming out. Just press that down the side. Squeeze the air bubbles out a little bit. Top it off with a little more juice. We're just going to set that out of the way and keep moving. We'll put all the bands on as soon as we get these full. So, clean washcloth. Go around your top. Put the lid on. Just see how my hand's just kind of slipping on there, just so it's tight. That's all you want right there. We'll set that out of the way. Now, we've got we've got a pressure cooker and we've got a canner. This is made for hot water baths. They both work well. This will use tongs, put them in and out. This one actually has a rack. It's really nice. It's made for canning. You pull that out. You put your jars in, and you set it back down in there. Easy peasy. So we'll do this one first. You can buy steamers or hot water bath steamers. They're like, you can buy some elaborate stuff. You can buy them, they're rectangular, so you can fit like a lot, you can fit like this would be 3 times 8, like 24 jars in there. What we do is the bottom of these will each hold 7. I do have a bigger canner that we can double them on top of each other. Try not to double quarts because they can. Now and then you might get a cracked one because they're jiggling, they're sitting on top of each other. If you do double them, make sure you put some type of a rack in between them. You don't want them sitting directly on top of each other. Most of your canners come with some type of a rack like this. This is made to double them up. One on the bottom, one in between. But I just got 2 pots going. We're going to do 14 jars. So again, we checked all our rims for chips when we washed them. But when I do this, it's an opportunity to check one more time. There, just like that. See, I'm not doing this hard, just snug. There's going to be air expanding out of these peaches. There's going to be juices coming out. You want that to be able to escape. If you crimp that down tight, water bath, not so much, but if you happen to be pressure canning something and you crimp them down tight, one or two things is going to happen. Your lid's going to crimp up on the side, it's going to bulge and crimp, and you're going to have little pinholes in here, or your jar's just going to break. So you don't get in the habit of just snug. Okay, so on this one, we just took our rack and lowered it down in. This one, we used our tongs. We set them in there. We got them so they're spaced evenly apart. They're not touching each other. You want at least an inch of water over the top of the cans. Get my handy dandy gauge out here. Look at this. This is 1 inch. We're over an inch. We're about 1.25 inches. Same thing here, so we're good. Now I'm leaving the lid off, both of these. You can see it's just starting to bubble. I want to give you an idea, when you start seeing bubbles come up, you're real close to boiling temperature. You are boiling temperature at the very bottom, but right here, we're at 201, almost 202. When I start seeing these bubbles come up like that continuously, go ahead and turn my timer on. It's a hot water bath. You don't want a rolling boil, or you're going to crack your jars or potentially crack your jars. You do not need a rolling boil. You're getting it up here, like I said, 200, 201, 202, almost 203 degrees. See, it's just bubbling up. This one, I would go ahead and turn my timer on, but this one needs to get a little bit hotter. So, but we're gonna hit the timer here in about probably 4 or 5 minutes. We're going to time it for 30 minutes. Meanwhile, we took our big pot we were using for the basket for the peaches. So we've got a smaller pot here. We're just going to do about 10, 15 peaches, or about 10 peaches at a time, and pull them out with a strainer so we can get the next batch going. By the time we get that done, get it in the jars, get the syrup in, these will be done. You can take them out. We put the next batch in. So here's our peaches. We actually got just a little bit more to do, but ran late into the night last night. Anyways, we've got 41 quarts. We should have 42. We did 14 at a time, but one did break inside the canner. It could have been from a real fine hairline crack in the jar that we didn't notice. That's probably what it was. But when we took them out, telltale sign, you go look at them, you take your lid off, or you go to look at them and you see little particles floating in the water. Telltale sign you got a cracked jar. So we still got 41. We're very happy with that. We did the hot water bath method. We sliced our peaches. We packed them in the jars raw and poured our hot syrup over them, and then we brought them to a boil. We boiled them for 30 minutes. Now, the one thing I told you is when you do that, when you pack them raw and don't pre-cook them, you will get this. Notice how you don't really see that on these, just a little bit, but all you got to do, what's happened is they cook. From the boiling and the cooking, they get soft and they rise to the top. Okay, just take them. You can shake them down. See how they're all really packed together tight? Just shake them down. If it bothers you, it doesn't bother me, but I just want to let you know, these are full of peaches. So if you just shake them up a little bit, there it is. So we have labeled them with the peach variety and the date we canned them. August 26, 2020. We'll probably get 7 more quarts yet tonight. If you got any questions or comments, just let us know. We'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.